So briefly, what's happened is we've seen with COP26 that the global temperatures are rising and that it's going to be inevitable that we're going to see more freak weather incidents and more flooding. Now, the area I represent had devastating floods in 2007, which utterly destroyed so many people's homes, cost an absolute fortune, and they're still remembered today as an incredibly traumatic experience. So what I'm trying to do in terms of changing the law is that some people have been able to put in some flood mitigation measures, some measures to try and make their homes more flood-proof, but yet still they're paying it for extremely expensive home insurance. So one of the things I want to do is to say to the insurance companies, if people are doing things to make their homes more flood-proof, then surely they should have cheaper insurance because of it. But also changing the rule nationally, because in Hull, because we flood so often, our council are really strict about planning laws. If you're going to build a new house in Hull, they're really strict about what you have to do to prevent flooding if you're going to build it. But that's not the same everywhere else, and it feels quite unfair because Hull is like a basin and the water comes running in from elsewhere parts of the country, and it doesn't seem to be particularly fair on areas like Hull which are prone to flooding. So we need to change the rules for everybody, make every council, wherever you live in the UK, be really strict about when you build a new home, you've got to have flood prevention measures.
Existing homes, wouldn't it be expensive to make the modifications that are needed?
It will be quite expensive. I mean, one of the things I've not addressed in this bill is to sort of something I'd like to go on and talk to the government about is looking at grants to enable people to put flood prevention measures into their existing homes. You're quite right, because it would be quite expensive as it stands at the moment. So this bill is really focusing on new builds. So anywhere where you're going to build a new property, we've got to change it. And some of the examples I give is looking at plug sockets and electrical wiring are higher up within homes. So if homes do get flooded, it doesn't wreck all of the electrics at the same time. Looking at this thing called SUDs, which are quite exciting, really. They're called, well, exciting in my opinion, sustainable urban drainage systems, which are looking at creating pockets of land which are designed to hold floodwater to stop them going to different homes and different houses in local areas. So there's loads of different things we can do to try and hold water and keep water away from homes. And I think planners need to be thinking about this. If they're going to build a new estate somewhere, one of the main things they need to be thinking about is, okay, we're going to stick this as a new estate somewhere. What are we going to do with all that water that used to soak into the ground? Where is that water going to go now? And how can we stop that water running off into other areas and flooding different areas in the vicinity?
And just finally, if homes continue to be built in the same way as they have always been, what are the implications of that?
Well, if we don't adapt to the changing climate, if we don't adapt to the changing weather, then we're going to see more homes flooding. And when you go and visit families who've had their homes flooded, it is devastating. We're not talking nice, clean water coming down from the sky. We're talking sewerage water. We're talking water that gets stuck in the sewerage system and comes up into people's homes. It is utterly devastating. People lose everything. Everything has to be ripped out and replaced. So we can't continue in the way we did before. We can't continue to design our homes for the past. We need to be looking at the future, making them flood-proof, making them flood resilient so that we can continue to live in beautiful areas like the city of Hull for a lot longer, because otherwise we're going to find that certain parts of the country we're no longer able to build any homes in because of flooding.